Imagine waking up one morning to find that the money in your wallet, the savings in your bank account, the entire financial foundation of your nation, has been fundamentally and irrevocably transformed. Now, magnify that feeling 1,000-fold and apply it to an entire country sitting on one of the world's largest reserves of oil. This is not a scene from a speculative fiction novel. This is the very real, very tense reality that Iraq is staring down as we approach a fiscal cliff of historic proportions. The Central Bank of Iraq, the CBI, is not just considering a minor tweak or a slight adjustment. We are talking about a monumental, system-shocking recalibration of the Iraqi dinar, a move so significant it involves a staggering $112 billion reserve and is strategically slated for a phased implementation, with a crucial phase expected around the fifth quarter of 2025. This isn't just economic news. This is a tectonic shift in the global financial landscape, and the tremors are already being felt in the hallways of international power and in the bustling markets of Baghdad. For decades, the value of the Iraqi dinar has been a subject of intense speculation, hope, and, frankly, a great deal of misinformation. But what we are facing now is the culmination of years of political maneuvering, economic pressure, and a desperate need for Iraq to step out of the shadow of war and sanctions and onto the main stage of the global economy. This $112 billion question isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's about national sovereignty, it's about the purchasing power of millions of Iraqi citizens, and it's about the future of a nation desperate to reclaim its destiny. The adjustment the CBI is planning is the key that could unlock that future, but it is a key that turns a lock with immense complexity and risk. This is the story of that key, that lock, and the potential earthquake that its turning could create. We are going to dissect the layers of this decision, moving beyond the hype and the headlines to understand the genuine mechanics, the powerful players involved, and the very real consequences for everyone from international investors to the average Iraqi family trying to put food on the table. This is the deep dive you will not find anywhere else. To truly grasp the gravity of this $112 billion currency shock, we must first understand what the Central Bank of Iraq is actually trying to achieve. This is not a simple devaluation or revaluation in the classic sense. This is a strategic, multi-phase financial engineering project designed to transition Iraq from a heavily managed, program-rate currency to a market-driven, internationally recognized medium of exchange. The $112 billion figure is critical because it represents the war chest, the financial firewall that the CBI has been building to defend the new dinar value once it is set. This massive reserve, bolstered by oil revenues and stringent financial reforms, is intended to signal to the world that Iraq is serious, that it has the muscle to back its money and prevent the kind of speculative attacks that have crippled other currencies in the past. The timing, targeting the fifth quarter of 2025, is equally strategic. It provides a clear, albeit ambitious, timeline for the government to push through essential complementary legislation, most notably the federal budget law, which will dictate government spending and revenue collection under the new paradigm. Furthermore, this period is crucial for implementing the new electronic payment platforms and modernizing the national banking infrastructure, moving Iraq away from a cash-dominated society to one that can handle the transparency and speed of a digital economy. This transition is arguably as important as the exchange rate change itself. A major driver behind this move is Iraq's complex relationship with the United States Treasury and the international banking system, specifically the need to move away from dollar dominance in its internal transactions. The recent pressure from the U.S. to curb dollar smuggling and money laundering has forced Iraq's hand, accelerating the need for a strong, independent currency that can facilitate trade without relying exclusively on the U.S. dollar. The new dinar value, supported by that colossal reserve, aims to build enough intrinsic trust that Iraqi businesses can conduct large-scale trade in their own currency, or at least with a much-reduced dependency on the dollar. This is a monumental step towards financial sovereignty. However, the path is littered with obstacles. Political factions within Iraq are deeply divided on the timing and the intended new value. Some see a stronger dinar as a source of national pride and a tool to reduce the cost of imports, while others fear it will cripple local industries by making Iraqi goods too expensive on the world market. This internal debate is what makes the fifth quarter of 2025 timeline so precarious and so fascinating to watch. So, what does all this mean for you, the viewer, whether you are an investor, an observer of global affairs, or someone with a personal interest in the future of Iraq? The impending adjustment of the Iraqi dinar is one of the most significant geopolitical financial events of the coming years. Its success or failure will ripple far beyond Iraq's borders. A successful transition to a stronger, market-driven dinar could unleash an economic renaissance in Iraq. It would make imports of essential goods, technology, and machinery significantly cheaper, fueling reconstruction and development. It would increase the purchasing power of Iraqi citizens, lifting living standards and creating a more robust consumer market. It would send a powerful signal to international investors that Iraq is finally open for serious business, potentially triggering a flood of foreign direct investment into sectors beyond oil, such as agriculture, telecommunications, and manufacturing. However, the risks of a misstep are equally colossal. If the new rate is set without the proper structural reforms and political consensus, it could lead to hyperinflation, a black market for currency that dwarfs the official one, and severe economic instability. The CBI's $112 billion reserve, while impressive, could be depleted rapidly if it has to constantly defend an unrealistic exchange rate against market forces. The livelihoods of millions hang in the balance. This is why your understanding of this issue is so vital. The narrative around the Iraqi dinar has been clouded by decades of speculation and rumor. What we have provided here is a clear-eyed, fact-based analysis of the mechanics and high-stakes gambit that is now in motion. This is not about get-rich-quick schemes. This is about the painful, complex, and historically necessary rebirth of a national economy. The fifth quarter of 2025 is not a finish line. It is a critical checkpoint in a much longer journey. The world will be watching. The question is, will you be informed? To ensure you are, you need to take action right now. The information landscape on this topic changes daily. New political developments, new economic data, and new international pressures are constantly shaping this story. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and have access to the most current, unbiased, and deeply researched analysis, you cannot afford to be a passive observer. This is where you make a decision. Look down and hit that subscribe button and then tap the notification bell. By doing that, you are not just getting another YouTube channel in your feed, you are securing your front row seat to the most comprehensive ongoing coverage of this historic event. We are dedicated to cutting through the noise and delivering the truth, no matter how complex. But your engagement is the fuel that makes it possible. So subscribe, ring the bell, and let's continue this crucial conversation together in the next video. Your understanding of the world depends on it.